if poor Ed, if he was still here, I'd argue with him. But we were good friends.
A Mitch and Jeremy exclusive.
There's a few tracks where I have just dead dry guitar going for that old school thing, whether it's AC/DC or Free or Paul Kossoff in early days,
Nice.
like All Day and All Night. I mean, that's just flat,
Yeah.
and it sounds great, but for the most of the part, I like that long chamber echo. I like the long pre-delayed, chamber, even that Ted Templeman used on, early Halen records.
Yeah. Which Ed hated, by the way, apparently. He hated that chamber sound.
I
It's great, though.
If poor Ed, if he was still here, I'd argue with him. But we were good friends.
Well,
I like hearing the echo because I play differently.
Yeah. Even your Instagram videos. I mean, like you got your tone is so saturated with the delay and the reverb. Like that's the tone that I love to hear. So to hear it on a rock record, and I'm like, fuck yeah, like this is coming back.
And I get the guys that go on there that are like, dude, take all that shit off, because I can't hear the wood. And I'm like, no, you know what? This is my site. I'm going to do what you want. You don't want to listen? Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. Yeah. Same thing with me. I love the Cannonball snare drum. I need the super processed, H3000 micro pitch on the guitar. I need all of it.
Also, when you're in a little room and you're listening back to, I don't have a full-fledged studio in my house, and I have medium-sized KRK mixing speakers in there.
Yeah.
I'm just recording onto a little iPhone. I don't even have it hooked up direct.
Yeah.
And so, it's just for practice purposes. And it's a little more inspiring to me for me to hear myself like I'm playing in a bigger place, because that's where I usually play.
Yeah.
So I'm used to listening to the PA pumping in the place. I don't have my in-ears up loud.
Mm-hmm.
I have, I want to hear the PA.
And you still have cabinets on the stage too.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, I've got them really low. I'm using really killer Myers cabinets that are very, they're not tall. And they're blowing by, my ankles, but they are pumping some air down there.
Yeah.
And we got a little EVH 212 cab right now, with, a head as well.
Yeah. Talking about EVH, and just guitar tones in general. You're using the EVH amps now, but back in the day, your guitar tone was sort of fresh in a way because nobody sounded like your tone. You listen to the volume swells on Faithfully in that little intro, or you listen to the solo on Don't Stop Believing. Nobody had that guitar tone that you had. Was it hard to conceive that tone at the time, and did you have it in your head, and how did you come up with that sound?
Well, to be honest, it was a jumped up high watt head that some guys had made for me. And I used to use the A channel, B channel, Y chord thing, just like you do with old plexis.
Yeah.
And the head really had some oomph to it, with the high watt thing instead of the Marshall thing. It's really kind of in your face, a lot of mids, high mids, mid mids, and not quite as brutal as, a plexi for Journey. It just had a different slot that seemed to fit with us better. But really, the sounds you're talking about, the swells and all that, I loved the Lexicon 224s, the studio giant Lexicons they used to mix. And at the time, I had met some guys at the company, and I had them build me a pedal board that would control, the 224.
Oh, wow.
And, so everything you're hearing on there, I recorded like that. It wasn't mixed like that. And I kind of set it myself and did the swells myself with, pretty much like a volume pedal. And that's what I use live, and so it's just a long, pre-delayed, endless echo and, you know, a little bit of slap, but kind of what I'm doing in a Kemper right now too. Maybe, you know, it doesn't have the complete, you know, fidelity of a 224, but those units are so big and hard to take on tour. Got bounced around a lot. It would work. It didn't work, you know.
Jeez.
I ended up selling it after a while.
Well, that's why they're designed for the studio, right? But it's like, you know, a lot of people talk about the guitar tones of the 80s. They talk about Eddie. They talk about, you know, Def Leppard or Bon Jovi, but like, nobody ever really mentions your guitar tone. I just wanted to throw that out there and just, you know, mention it because it's such an instantly recognizable thing. And I feel like a lot of people copied you once you did it.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think the only guys that really have talked about my playing in general are like, you know, Steve Vai, Satriani, friends of mine.
Yeah. Well, we just had Keith Scott from Bryan Adams Band on the show last week, and he mentioned you.
I saw that, man. Keith is, I don't know if you've ever heard him play by himself. Have you heard him?
Yeah.
Well, he's out of the realm, out of the Bryan Adams realm.
No, well, yeah, I mean,
well, I have because he has guested on a whole bunch of other albums, but I mean his tone and his playing. I mean, look at the riffs he's done. He's on Summer of '69, Cutlass. I mean, those are classic songs.
And you know what? I know this just from touring with those guys. When Brian's album first came out, he was touring with Journey. And I loved the tour. And, you know, I thought he was just such a solid, amazing guitar player for what he was doing with Brian, just playing what the song needed, you know, tastefully and with great tone and with command. But when I was walking backstage and I walked by the room, I heard some guy in there freaking wailing, man. And it sounded like Alan Holdsworth, right?
Wow.
It's like, who the fuck is that? And I open up the door and it's him, man. And I'm going, I didn't know you played like that. And he goes, oh yeah, that, you know. I was like, you'd never know it.
So Keith Scott's like a closet shredder then.
Keith is amazing.
He can definitely dig in and play as progressive as you want him to and as outside as you want him to. Yeah.
The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
Available wherever you stream.
Catch up on past interviews and episodes on demand now.
Subscribe so you don't miss any of it.